This 1 Degree Outside video is sponsored by the Topsfield Fair, America's oldest fair. You can pre-order your admission, meal, and ride tickets today at topsfieldfair.org and join the fun October 4th through 14th, conveniently located on Route 1, just off of Interstate 95.
Hi, Matt Noyes, pattern predictions here. On a Monday, we always look out to the next 2 weeks. Say, all right, what's coming up next? This will be a little bit of a preview because tomorrow is going to be a monthly forecast, first weekday of the month, and that'll be out at 1degreeoutside.com. But let's dive into the next 2 weeks. It's one thing to get the data, the chance of rain, the temperatures on our Noyes' 1 Degree Outside weather app. It's another thing to get the context behind that and understand exactly how things might be changing. Look, I think the biggest thing to drive home is that the jet stream is still the way it was when we looked last week in our Insights video, which is the fact that it's pointed out of the west and northwest for a lot of the upcoming days. What that means is you've pretty much cut off deep tropical moisture down to the south. So you get these disturbances. They bring a chance of showers with them, but you don't tap a lot of moisture to make a lot of rain. That's why in the Insights video that I posted earlier today at 1degreeoutside.com, you'll see we talk about, chance of showers, but no meaningful rain to offset the drought conditions. Well, certainly as we get to Wednesday, we get another jet stream disturbance, fast river of air kind of moving along high in the sky, steering those disturbances at us, might raise the chance of an isolated or scattered shower, but without moisture from the south, you really can't do a lot with that. Notice by the time we get to Saturday, you start to turn the wind out of the south and west. You start to get moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico, but really, when you look at it, where's it pointed? To our south, right? Never really gets in here, goes across the mid-Atlantic, goes back out because we keep getting these northern stream disturbances. So is there an elevated chance of showers on Saturday? Yes. Do I think it's actually possible you find the chance of showers drop a bit on Saturday? Yes, because you don't have a lot of moisture associated with it. Neither way, it'd be scattered and fairly quick moving. Early next week, another one of these disturbances. Now, the one thing you can watch on Monday, this is for this coming Monday, October 7th, a week from today, is that you might get enough of a disturbance to dig to cause a little surface area of low pressure near the coastline of New England. If that happens next Monday, that would enhance rain. It's a low probability, but it is a possibility. So we'll watch that. And then as we get to the middle and end of next week, you're still doing what? You're still bringing the jet stream out of the west and northwest. You're still cutting off any deep amount of tropical moisture. Maybe you can redefine things a bit toward mid-month. But look, for the next 2 weeks, that's just kind of the way it goes. And that's why you see, a little spike in the shower chance on Saturday, which again might come down as we get closer to it, depending on what happens with that jet stream disturbance and how devoid of moisture it is, right? And then after that, it's all just about timing. That's why you don't see any one day stand out, is because generally it's about what time exactly the disturbances will come through. And when you have a fast-moving jet stream, timing them out from several days in advance can be very difficult. You could be as much as a day off. So that's why you see it kind of split between days, for example, early and middle of next week. One thing I want to point out, because I think it is important to acknowledge when things don't necessarily go exactly as planned. So one of the things we had talked about in pattern predictions last week is that we might get a pretty good shot of some chill that would come in here somewhere around the 3rd or 4th of October. Well, notice that's really nowhere to be found now. You're finding it across Canada, but it's not the same shot of chill that was originally expected. So while we are getting these northern stream disturbances that drop in, they're not really successfully carrying the amount of cold it looks like they may from several days out. So now we look farther and say, okay, well, there's a shot perhaps when we get toward the 6th or 7th of getting some cooler air in, like meaning, kind of cool for this time of the year. You'll see that in the forecast, but you're not seeing that same kind of big surge of cold kind of dropping down behind these disturbances, and that shows up in the temperature forecast as well, right? I mean, we spike actually as we get to Friday. I talked earlier in Insights about how it's amazing for the start of the Topsfield Fair. We go mid-70s on Friday, then you drop down, and there's that kind of cooler air that shows up toward the end of the 14-day. Slightly cooler than normal, yes, but not exceptional anyhow. In the tropics, I think really the theme is the same, which is there's 2 areas that are going to be watched, right? One will be the Gulf of Mexico, and the other one is going to be the central and eastern Atlantic. This is what I had told you about in pattern predictions last week. I really don't see a lot of that changing. We've been watching all different tropical systems that are out there. Isaac in the North Atlantic, Joyce, which is now kind of recurving. You've got more depressions and storms that will come over the next week and 2. And the reason I say that is because when you look at the favorability chart here across the ocean, with red being favorable conditions for development, certainly the central and eastern Atlantic remains favorable. The East Coast does not. The Gulf of Mexico does, and it looks to stay that way over the course of the next several days. We don't see the hot spots, so to speak, changing all that much. If you could get some of these waves to make it out of the central Atlantic without recurving, without going back out to sea, then you do have some favorability east of the Bahamas, north of the Leeward and Windward Islands, if you can get something to come in here. But again, even then, I think you'd probably be talking so much wind shear that it would recurve anyway before it ever got to the eastern seaboard. So there's nothing that's imminently concerning with the tropics for, let's say, the East Coast. The Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf Coast, a little bit different story. Want to remind you that you can grab some swag at swag.onedegreeoutside.com. The umbrellas are in now. A lot of you had asked about that. And then also, of course, a reminder that if you want to see how the chance of rain changes and the temperature changes in the 14-day, grab our app, Noyes' 1 Degree Outside weather app from Google Play or, of course, on the App Store. That's how things are looking for now. I hope this gives you a little bit of context anyway into the next 14 days. Again, monthly forecast comes out tomorrow at onedegreeoutside.com.